Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Luke's English Podcast. How are you today? I hope you're fine. Now, before we begin properly, I need to give you a warning at the beginning of this episode. Warning. Yeah, it sounds scary and serious, but let me just warn you about something. So this episode contains plenty of stories and descriptions of encounters with insects. Okay? Insects. If you hate creepy crawlies or bugs, if you really can't stand them, then be warned. We're going to talk about insects here and other similar creatures like spiders and things. We're going to talk about all of that stuff, meeting them, being bitten or stung by them, having them invade your home, and even eating them before they eat you. So if you're squeamish about insects, then you've been warned, okay? Also, if you love insects, if you just love beetles and stuff, I mean, not the Beatles. I'm not talking about music in this episode. I'm talking about genuine beetles and insects. So if you love insects and you hate the idea of them being harmed in any way, then you have also been warned, okay? Because we might talk about exterminating insects, squashing them, poisoning them, and possibly even eating them, as I mentioned. So if you either love or hate insects, be warned. Okay? Now, so now that those two fringe groups on the sides have been thoroughly warned, I'm talking about the insect haters and the insect lovers. Let's now carry on with a rambling conversation about insects, and we plan to go into plenty of detail about these little creatures, including a whole host of words, expressions, idioms, facts, and stories about our six-legged friends or enemies, depending on your perspective. And I'm talking to Zdenek Lukas, who is with me now. Hello, Zdenek. How are you?
Hi, Luke. I'm great. Good to be here. Good to be back on the podcast. I have to say, I have got butterflies in my stomach.
Really? Nice idiom there, little insect. We should count the insect idioms that we can include in this conversation. You've had one already. You've got butterflies in your stomach. Really? Why?
I mean, it's always a wonderful opportunity to be on the podcast, and obviously it's not my first time, so I would say I'm a seasoned guest from that perspective, but yeah, we are going to talk about insects, so that might be a different kettle of fish. That's not exactly an insect idiom, it's a fish idiom, but
it's all right, you're nearly there. I mean, fish and insects, I don't know how closely related they are. Crustaceans, they live in the sea, they're not far from insects. But no, kettle of fish, okay. It's a different kettle of fish, a whole different kind of thing. Yeah, okay. Butterflies in your stomach because you're feeling a little bit nervous, but that's all right.
Also, I admit that I may have used it just for the sake of using it.
I think so. I think you should get a point every time you use one of those. Let me just get a piece of paper and a pen here so I can note these things down.
Maybe half a point, Luke, because, I mean, if it's not genuine, if I only used it for the sake of using it, then shouldn't it count as just half a point?
I don't know. I think you used it meaningfully within a meaningful context. It didn't stick out too much. I think it made sense within the context of what we were saying. I mean, do you genuinely feel a little bit nervous about being on this massive worldwide podcast?
I guess not as much as I used to.
Yeah.
I'm just afraid my room is bugged.
You're afraid that your room is bugged, really?
Yes.
What, you think that there might be a microphone in your room picking up, recording everything you're saying?
Yeah, this one.
There is. Yeah, there is. There's a massive microphone right there in front of your face. So no, that doesn't count as being bugged because you set that up yourself. It's not been. You didn't get secret agents coming in bugging your apartment.
Exactly.
That's 2. I'm giving you a point for that. 1, 2. So you had butterflies, bugged. But a different kettle of fish, that doesn't count.
That shouldn't count.
Sorry. Yeah. No. Can I also say that, so we're on video and audio as usual, but yes, there is a video version of this on YouTube. And video viewers, I'm sure that you must agree with me when I say that Zdenek looks a lot like an insect today. He looks kind of like a bug. He's got a large pair of headphones on, which gives you a sort of an insect-ish head.
Thanks. I'll take it as a compliment then.
I don't know. I don't mean to be rude about your appearance, but I just thought I'd point it out, considering we're talking about insects.
Look, it's not bugging me at all. I mean, you can say whatever you want. You're on your own podcast.
Oh my God, you've got another one. It's not bugging me. Okay, go on. Explain that while I write that down. Go on.
I'm not bothered. I would say it's something like that. Right? I'm not. I don't really care so much.
Yeah, if something bugs you, it means it sort of bothers you and annoys you or something. But you're not bugged by my sort of stupid glib comment about your headphones,
not at all,
making you look like some sort of podcasting ant.
I've been called worse, so it's fine.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. So before we continue, then, as we continue, let's continue. So where are you, Zdenek? You appear to be in a kitchen/bedroom situation. What's going on in your life at the moment?
It is actually a very interesting situation. It's a studio, but what's even more interesting is that I'm not even in Europe anymore. So first time ever, I have decided to sort of follow your footsteps, because you used to live in Japan. So I'm not very far from there at the moment. For more than 9 months, I've been living in Vietnam.
Wow. Nice. Which part of Vietnam?
Da Nang, which is central Vietnam. Da Nang, as you know, is quite a long country, and it stretches over several climate. What do you call it? Climate zones, right? And so it's in the tropical zone in central Vietnam. It's quite a nice place. It's the 5th largest city in Vietnam, I believe. That's what Wikipedia says, anyway.
Yeah. All right, you're out there on the coast, aren't you? On the east coast.
Although I'm not recording from I'm not in a lighthouse or anything. I'm a little bit further away from the seaside, from the shore.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're not right there at the beach, sunbathing.
No.
At this moment. No. Okay. All right. Well, great. Da Nang, yeah, out there in Vietnam. Yeah, I went on holiday there many years ago.
Did you?
Yeah, I did a podcast about it back in the early days. I think I went, when was it? It would have been 2010, 2011, I think. And I was supposed to go with my cousin Oliver, because we, back in those days, we used to go on sort of traveling adventures together. But so we were due to go together, and he couldn't go because he had a tropical disease, which sounds horrible, and it was horrible. That's a whole other story for another time. But he couldn't go, so I went on my own, and I travelled sort of up and down Vietnam on my own for a couple of weeks, which was an interesting experience, staying in little hotels and doing sightseeing and trying not to get bitten by mosquitoes.
I think one is flying in my room. I discovered about 1 minute ago.
Really?
Yeah, I think it kind of makes sense, doesn't it, for this episode, that it's sort of topical.
Absolutely. And tropical as well. So okay, listeners, viewers, not only will you get the excitement of just listening to this episode, but also the knowledge that Zdenek is being hunted at this point by a mosquito that seems to have invaded his room. So you'll have to give us updates on that as we go through this conversation. But so how is Vietnam then? How are you finding it as a European, suddenly finding himself in a completely different part of the world? What's it like living in Vietnam? What are the great things? What are the challenges for you?
Oh, you can imagine, like, as someone who had never really left Europe for about 39 years, it was it's quite a scary thing to do, a scary move, and I did it anyway because I was really bored living in Europe, living in the Czech Republic. And I wanted to do something completely different. And I've made a lot of bad decisions in my life, Luke, like I guess a lot of people. But this one wasn't one of them. This was a really, really great move. And I would recommend it to everyone. Like, just do it. Just go somewhere, because it's worth it. You just broaden your horizons. It gives you a different vibe, obviously. People are amazing here, but different mentality. It's great. Honestly, it's been amazing. My social life is great here. I've met a lot of interesting people, a lot of cool people. Actually, it's better than it was in the UK. As you know, I used to live and work in the UK as a teacher. We even met. We did a few Lepster meetups, right? When was this, Luke?
Mm-hmm. Ages ago. Can't remember. Pre-Brexit. That's all like anything that happened after Brexit now is just like a long distant memory now.
Pre-COVID as well, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, that's right. So you're having a better time than you did in London then, yeah?
I think on the whole, I mean, it's never perfect. It has its own challenges like everywhere in the world. But because I already came with some experience, I think I prepared myself for that very well. And I'm pleasantly surprised. It really has lived up to my expectations, and I think it surpassed them as well. And that's why I've been here for so long, and I'm not planning to leave anytime soon. So far so good. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. I guess there's like sunshine. The weather's pretty hot, maybe a bit too hot sometimes for someone of your your experience of living in Europe. Me too. I like it to be quite chilly, please. Yeah, delicious food, right? Fantastic food. Pho. Is it pronounced pho?
Pho, something. I honestly, I'm going to mess it up because there are like 5 or 6 different tones in Vietnamese. It's a tonal language, as you know. And there's like a question mark symbol above the word, which means you have to pronounce it as if you're sort of asking a question. So pho. But honestly, I might be saying it wrong because there are like 5 words similar to the word pho. One of them is a prostitute as well, so you have to be very careful.
You do, right? If you're going into town, you're feeling hungry, you want to eat some noodles, just make sure you're ordering the right thing.
Although they are used to foreigners mispronouncing it all the time, so they will know you're not interested in
the wrong thing. Yeah. In this case, yeah. Okay, great. I'm really happy for you. I'm very glad that you're having a great experience over there. How are you dealing with all the scooters?
Yeah, that's
crossing the road.
That's a bit tough. Like I have to say, I'm getting used to it. Obviously, after 9 months, and more or less, I think I know what I'm doing. But you have I stopped listening to podcasts while walking. That's the first thing I had to do because it just is too dangerous for someone like me to be here, because you really have to be vigilant all the time. You have to keep your eyes peeled, otherwise something could happen to you, and it would even be your fault, because you just have to do as the Romans do. It's, as you know, you've been here, right? So you know that there are a lot of scooters here. That's I think every Vietnamese person almost every Vietnamese person owns a scooter.
Do you have a scooter now?
I don't, because I'm still. People are telling me I should get a license, a driver's license, or just at least get a scooter. But I've been postponing that.
That's like when you've really become Vietnamese, right? When you've really sort of gone native is when you start going around on a scooter like everyone else. Yeah. Crossing the road is a challenge, isn't it? That's what I remember when I arrived in Ho Chi Minh City. And there are these quite large boulevards kind of thing. And just suddenly hordes of almost like a swarm going back to insects. Like, what's that? Is that a wasp? No, it's 100,000 scooters all coming at me at the same time. And you have to just walk through them, right?
Yeah. Well, the problem is you with your European mentality. The problem is not this place, because that's how they have been doing it for ages here. And it's, for us, it looks like chaos. But it's basically an organized chaos. They know exactly what's happening. Sometimes they go the wrong way, but it has its own rules. It's all logical. And once you get to know it, it starts making sense to you. And I see a lot of even expats living here doing the same thing now. So it's just, you have to adjust. You have to acclimatize,
Okay. What about the sort of wildlife then? So talking of insects and stuff, obviously you're in a tropical zone.
Yeah.
So have you noticed any differences in the wildlife that you encounter?
I have. So first of all, I've met a few monkeys here, which
I had only
met monkeys in a zoo before I came here, obviously. So that's interesting. They tend to steal from people as well. So I'm always cautious when I get anywhere near them. And not far from here, there's like a peninsula with a forest. It's called Sontra, and there are a lot of monkeys there, and they're very sort of how to say this. They're not afraid to come out and sort of meet the tourists and just swinging from tree to tree, jumping around. And there's like a car park, not like a scooter car park, for scooters.
Yeah, scooter park.
Scooter park. Okay, let's call it that. And they would just jump from scooter to scooter and just do weird stuff. Yeah, I've recorded a few interesting videos, and it's a new. Okay. It's definitely a new for me. Yeah, so I'm like sort of like the natives. Of course, for them it's normal, but for me, I'm like Alice in Wonderland. Like, what the hell is this? Monkeys, they are so cool,
Yeah. And you said you met them. I mean, are you literally like, hello, my name's Zdenek, I'm from Europe, nice to meet you, your name is, sorry?
That's exactly what I did. I tried to talk to them. They were looking at me as if I was a weirdo, so I stopped. I can't speak the monkey language. The closest I tried to learning is the monkey news, the Carl Pilkington. And you made some episodes about that as well, didn't you?
I did. I made one particular episode, Carl Pilkington's Monkey News. Yeah, we did one episode where we heard him talking about a monkey working on a building site, and another story when he talked about a monkey going into space. Yeah. So okay, so you got your own. Maybe you could make your own Monkey News episode where you give like every time in the podcast you can give some monkey news about updates of what the monkeys have been doing. Yes. But anyway, so insects, that's what this episode is about, right? So we should stick to the point here. Now, you contacted me the other day. You sent me a message, and you... so what was it that you wrote to me?
I said, hello, Luke, because I'm a polite person, and I think that's how it started, right? And I basically referred to a piece of news that came out recently regarding the infestation of Paris with the insect species called bedbugs. Nasty creatures, bedbugs.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. You wrote to me and you said, apparently Paris is infested with bedbugs. Is this true? Not, are you okay? But is this true? I am fine, by the way. So bedbugs, all right. So yeah, I wonder if everyone knows what bedbugs are. I mean, probably the name explains everything you need to know. But Zdenek, I mean, can you describe bedbugs? What are they? What do they do? How do they behave?
Well, they might live in your bed. Everyone, check your bed right now. Your mattress. Yeah, that's especially if you're living in Paris these days, like Luke is. They are nasty creatures, quite small, but visible to the naked eye. This is a weird phrase. I always find this a weird phrase. Naked eye.
The naked eye. It's a nice phrase, though, isn't it? It's good to visible to the naked eye, meaning without needing a microscope or without needing a magnifying glass or something, just to the naked eye. And your eye is going, oh no, don't look at me. I don't have a microscope on me. It's a bit weird. Yeah.
Well, obviously it depends on how good your eyesight is, right? So, but most people would be able to see, to notice them, unless they are very young, I guess. They are smaller, obviously. Whatever is younger is usually smaller, right? So yeah. That's logical.
You mean if the bed bugs are young? I thought you meant if people were young, like if young people just can't see insects. No, bed bugs. Yeah, if the bed bugs are tiny, you might not be able to see them like the baby ones. But the normal, full size bed bugs are visible to the naked eye. They are probably, I don't know. I don't have them, thankfully, as far as I know. So I haven't really seen them. But how big are they really? About like half a grain of rice or something?
Half a grain of rice. Yeah, that sounds fair. Some of the bigger ones might be a grain of rice, but a little bit smaller. I guess you're right. A little bit smaller. Depends really how mature they are and how much blood they have eaten.
So am I right? The story is that Paris is infested with bed bugs, and you read a story about this on one website, and then you thought, oh, this might just be nonsense, and then you saw the same story in another newspaper website, a Czech website, and you thought, oh, maybe there's something to this. I'll check to see if Luke is scratching right now as I'm reading these articles. This is something that people are talking about at the moment. There have been loads and loads of stories going around on different sort of news websites and things about how Paris is infested with bed bugs, apparently. And I guess this kind of went viral for several reasons. One of those reasons is that some people posted videos of bed bugs on the Paris metro.
Yep.
So that's the underground train network.
I saw the images as well. Yeah. They look real.
They do, don't? Yeah, they are real, I'm sure. And okay, this is from the BBC's website. 16 hours ago. Check out the dramatic language. Here we go. A plague of bed bugs has hit Paris and other French cities, provoking a wave of insectophobia and raising questions about health and safety during next year's Olympic Games. That's broadly how the phenomenon has been described in the French and now international news media. In part it's true, but in another part it isn't. Okay, so I wonder which part is true and what isn't true. But certainly the panic that has gripped the nation, although people aren't panicking about it as much as the news would suggest. My wife is not happy about the story at all, and she's quite squeamish about these things. So she's read these things and she told me about them. So I knew about this before you messaged me, because my wife had already told me about it, and she said, oh my god, apparently there are bed bugs everywhere, and the thing is that all you need to do is bring one of them home with you, and then they multiply, and then you've got them. And they hide during the day. They crawl into little cracks and little nooks and crannies, and then just multiply, and then at night they come out while you're sleeping, crawl into your bed, and yum 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 yum, they suck your blood, and they leave itchy red marks on your body. And so she's freaking out a little bit about this, but thankfully we don't have them at home yet, as far as I know, and I haven't met anyone who's got them. I don't know anyone who has them, unless those people are just keeping it really secret or something. I don't know,
out of shame.
Maybe. Yeah. I haven't seen any, and I've been looking on the underground, because on the metro I do take that regularly, and I haven't been sitting down as much as I normally do, but I've been keeping my eyes peeled for.
I'm imagining the level of paranoia in the Luke's English podcast household now.
Well, yeah, try not to talk about it too much. I don't want to sort of exacerbate the levels of paranoia that already exist there. But no, we haven't had to go into some sort of state of emergency at home, thankfully. So that's kind of how it is. But yeah, I've overheard a couple of people talking about it. But I get the impression that this is maybe just something that, certain stories, just the media love to get hold of certain stories, because you can imagine if you're a journalist, this is a great story, isn't it, to write, and it's going to grab people's imagination. Absolutely,
it's gold, for them.
Absolutely, yeah. And with the Olympics as well, this is the thing.
The great link, yeah.
Yeah. Every journalist wants to connect like a little story to a bigger story, and the Olympics is coming to Paris next year, and so of course everyone's running around panicking. Well, they're not running around panicking. People are worrying about it a little bit, about what this means for the Olympics next year. There are various things that could sort of spoil things for the Olympics next year.
Yeah. So let's admit the chances are that the bedbugs have been in Paris for years. And it's no different from, let's say, 10 years, 20, 30, 50 years ago. We don't know. And these days, as we know, everything goes viral very quickly. And the internet is capable of a lot of things, right? So could be fake news, could be just exacerbated, as you said. Who knows? But something is going on. And look, basically, this article brought back some memories as well for me. personally. So if you want me to, I can talk about my own experience with bed bugs. And
yeah. I want to know. I want to know the horrible stories of bed bugs that you've got. In fact, we could probably sort of share a few anecdotes about our experiences with insects now at this point. So go on, tell us about your experience or experiences with bed bugs. Get ready, everyone. It's going to get creepy.
So actually, there's a nice sort of link to the last time I was on Luke's English podcast, because that's when I told you about me going to England for the first time, which was back in 2005. So that's when I was young. I was 20.
You're still pretty young.
Oh, you look. You said to me that I look like insect, so I guess
a young insect.
Right. So this was when I was about 21 years old. And I remember moving around a lot at first because, you sort of want to find a cheap place. You don't have money at that age. Not that I have any more money now as a teacher. But at that time, you don't have money at all. So you try to find cheap accommodation. It's always house share or something. So I was living in Leytonstone first, and there were some weird housemates who bullied one other guy there. So we just decided to move out. They had loud parties at night, and then they did something to one Australian guy there. We just moved out, and I moved to Finsbury Park. And it seemed nice, very interesting roommates, kind of friendly. So everything seemed like a fairy tale until about a few weeks later. I discovered that I had some red spots on my body. And it looked like some kind of rash or something, yeah. And then my roommates started talking. They said to me that before I moved in, there was another guy from Poland there who used to have the same problem. So there was some kind of theory in the house that there's one bed, and whoever sleeps there, that person sort of, it's like we thought there's some kind of infection there or something. That person gets some kind of rash. We were very young. You can imagine. There was no internet, wasn't a thing so much yet. The phones didn't have the internet in them, I believe. So you would just have to go to an internet cafe back then. It was 20 years ago. So we were not that knowledgeable about these things. But so they told us there was this guy and it was because he was sleeping in the same bed as I was. I was like, that's weird. I didn't pay much attention to it. Until it started getting worse. So it was always my hands for some reason, and occasionally my face, but usually my hands. That's because I used to sleep in a sleeping bag. I had a sleeping bag, and then one day I found out that something is actually crawling on my. I think I woke up in the middle of the night because something sort of. I felt some kind of bite, or my hand hurt. I was like, what's going on? And I switched on the light, and I saw the thing. So one of them, the bed bug, and I can't remember what I did with it. I guess the first sort of reaction would be just to get it out of my hand. Like I don't think I would kill it. I don't know. I don't know if I killed the first one I saw. I don't know. Anyway, since then I knew. And I found more, and I found even sort of dried shells lying around, because during the daylight you can't see them because, as you said, they hide. They live in a mattress mostly, and so but you can find dried skins or something
Just a slight tangent. Have you seen the film Alien?
I must have seen. Yeah, of course. It's an old film. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an old film. Yeah. So in the film Alien, obviously the alien is an egg inside a guy's body, and then it bursts out of his stomach. Luckily, that didn't happen to you with the bed bugs and stuff. And then the alien is on the spaceship, and at some point, one of them finds the skin of the alien, and it's because the alien is growing and it's shed its skin. And that means that the alien is much bigger. And insects do exactly the same thing. They actually shed their exoskeleton, or they shed their skin
exactly
as they grow. So finding the shell of its skin means that one of them has grown, and now you've got an even bigger one somewhere in the bed. But
still, it was like I still was sort of blissfully unaware. I was blissfully unaware of what this was. I had no idea. My friends, did I talk about it even? I don't think I talked about it that much. It was a bit embarrassing, to be honest. But I had one roommate, like literally one roommate. So two people were sleeping in one room, and I was one of them. And I don't know, that guy, like he was always sound asleep, so it didn't bother him. Besides, they didn't live in his mattress, in his bed. They only lived in my bed. So they sort of gather in one place, like they, it's their sort of safe house there. And a few weeks later, one crawled into my ear, and that's when it gets interesting. Yeah. So I woke up in the morning and saw something was buzzing in my ear, and it was quite annoying. You can imagine. And I knew straight away what it was. I knew straight away because I had seen them before. I killed some of them before. By that time, I had already started killing them. Yeah. And you had difficulty sleeping, and you sort of like, what am I gonna do? And I tried to sort it out with the landlord, but that landlord was a bit slow in dealing with it and all that stuff. So, but going back to the main story, so I had one of them in my ear, and basically it was on Sunday, and it was buzzing there for about 3 hours, and then it stopped. So I imagined it died there. It suffocated or something. Or
wait, you couldn't get it out?
I couldn't get it out. It's quite small. Like you can see it, but it's quite small. And in your ear, it's like a maze, right? So once it gets in, like, how do you get it out? Because the thing.
Oh God, that's horrible.
It's horrible, yeah. But I knew what I have there. It stopped. Making that sound, but I knew it was there, so I got a bit worried because I don't know, it could get infected, or I knew I had to get it out. So it was Sunday, so I had to go to A&E, accident and emergency. It's like a hospital, in the UK, like a hospital where you can go whenever something happens. And
if you break your leg, or if you burn your body or something like that, there's people going in there with blood coming out of different parts of their body, like and you turn up, you're just fine. Yeah. What's the matter? Yeah.
So I thought I would prepare for this. So I had killed another one on that day, and I put it in a box of matches because I thought it would be a good idea to show the doctor what exactly I had in my ear. Yeah. So
he's like, you've got matches in your ear? What have you been doing? No, it's the little bug there.
So I went there. I went to the hospital, and when I said to the reception, first you go to the reception and they ask you like, what's wrong with you? And I said, I've got a bug in my ear, and that was like the first time they were looking at me like, what? and I said, okay, fine. And then I went into a room. It was like a small office, a doctor's office. And I said, hello, I've got a bug in my ear. I don't know what it is, but it's in my ear and it's dead there now. And I said, and because I'm prepared, I've got one in this little box to show you that I'm not joking. So I opened the box. It was I remember it was a very young female doctor, about, I don't know, maybe 30 years old, maybe even younger, 28 or something. So I opened the box, and her first reaction was like, what is this? And that's when I knew, like, I'm in trouble. I knew that was like foreshadowing that person was not going to help me.
Right, this is a medically qualified doctor. Yeah, and she goes, nah, when she sees the bug.
By the time I was well familiar with the bug, so I wasn't really scared. I was paranoid, of course, and I was like in this fighting mode. Like I hated them, but I was sort of, I knew what it was. I didn't know the name of the bug, but I know like it was happening. But this doctor was like, oh, what is that? So then so I asked her, hey, what is it? Do you know what it is? I was expecting that doctors, they study medicine, right? They have to study biology and all that. So I was expecting her to tell me. She said, I had no idea. But wait, I'm going to have a walk around the hospital to ask around. So she left the office. She let me stay there for about 10 minutes. and then came back and she said, well, you are in luck. You are in luck. I found one doctor who used to see these ones in the army because he served somewhere in Iraq or something, and he used to see these because they bit the soldiers there. She still didn't tell me the name. I didn't know the name. So, but
you're thinking, what is this? Some sort of like military bug? What have I got in my head?
Exactly. I was like, what? It just seemed so absurd, like she had to go around the hospital to find it took her 10 minutes to find a doctor who would know, but still wouldn't know the name of the species.
Yeah, you're thinking if I got the rarest like brain bug that like no one, is this a new species that no one knows about that's going to try and eat my brain or something?
All sorts of things were going through my head at that point. And then so now that was the time to actually try to help me. Yeah. So now that we sort of established what I had in my ear, not really, but she tried to get it out. So she took one of those, what do you call it, cotton buds, but the longer ones. Like you have a cotton buds to clean your ear, but the longer one on a wooden, I think it was on a wooden stick or something.
Yeah, I call it a swab.
Swab, yeah, it's another word, yeah. Mm-hmm. So she carefully tried to get it out, but she wasn't exactly doing that well. In fact, my ear started bleeding. And,
what?
And she said, "Oh, it's too deep. I can't get it out." My ear started bleeding. I'm not even kidding you. So she was just too aggressive with some. Well, to be honest, they even say don't use cotton buds, right? It's like one of the things that people say in the health world. Cotton buds apparently are bad for you because it's easy to damage your ear because there are like a lot of little bones and things, and
you can maybe perforate your eardrum if you push too far,
and you could even have like a long lasting damage to your ear.
Right.
But the point is, she completely mucked it up, and it didn't exactly hurt or anything, but my ear was bleeding. So and then she at one point she just gave up because she couldn't get it out. She couldn't. Right.
Oh my God! So I'm imagining that she
could see it. She could see it. Yeah. Because I think she was using some I don't know, was it magnifying goggles? I don't know what it is, but she could see it. Yeah. She couldn't get it out though because it was too deep, and the tool she was using, probably even her hands weren't good enough to deal with it. I don't know. I don't know. She just failed.
6 years of medical school or whatever, and no one ever taught her how to get a bed bug out of a man's ear.
She probably never had to do anything like this. So I don't really blame her, but I didn't blame her. But it was weird, right? She didn't help me. However, she booked me for an appointment with a specialized department. I went there 2 days later. And
you had to go away. You had to be like, okay, well, fine, I'll just go away and live with this dead bed bug in my ear for a couple of days. Then
I think 2 days. It took 1 or 2 days. I can't remember. Either Monday or Tuesday. I went in. I lay down on like one of those things you lie down when you're at the doctor. What is it called?
Yeah, sort of like an operating table.
Exactly, like an operating table. There was like a big sort of machine, and it's like sucking device. So they sucked it out of my ear. That was painless. And after this doctor sucked it out of my ear, he showed me what I had in my ear, and you can imagine that it wasn't in one piece because the doctor as she was trying to get it, as she had been trying to get it out, she just completely
eviscerated it.
What's the word? Eviscerated it. She
destroyed it.
She like the limbs. It wasn't in one piece. It was everywhere. All the, what do you call it? The legs and
Yeah,
It looked
all the different parts of this insect had all been like broken apart, and so there were lots of bits of dead bed bug being pulled out of your ear. How lovely!
So it didn't look like a bed bug anymore. It just looked like a weird thing. But it was out. It was out, and that was the most important thing. So in the end, this story has a happy ending. And later, I still didn't know it was a bed bug. No one told me. I don't think...
Yeah.
It could be. Okay, I admit, it could be. That my English wasn't good enough. But I think back then, I was like upper intermediate. So I imagine I would have understood. Yeah, upper intermediate, like B2 level, I imagine I would have understood.
Bed bug, yeah, it's pretty... I mean, the only thing that's going to be difficult there is the pronunciation, right? Because it's like a minimal pair, isn't it? Bed bug is, you've got to get those vowel sounds right. But the words on their own, bed and bug, a bug in the bed, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to understand that if you can actually hear what they're saying straight away. Yeah, so, but you still didn't know what it was.
I didn't,
then,
but,
at this
but
point.
a few days later, I figured it out. I think I used the internet. I just went to one of the cafes and I did some digging. And in the end, I found out. And I just read about how impossible it is to get rid of them. Because you kill one, doesn't do anything, basically. You need to throw away the mattress. You can't even clean it. You just have to throw it away. So, there might be some specialists who come into your house and they sort of spray everything, but it might not even work 100%. So you don't want to pay for something like that and then find out that it's still there, right? So I think in the end I moved out because the landlord it was one of those shady landlords as well that he wasn't even the owner. Like he was renting it out from someone else, so it's like
subletting,
second landlord, like subletting. Yeah, so he was just trying to make a lot of money, and this would be a bummer for him, of course, to pay for something like that, right?
The fumigation of the apartment, to exterminate the bed bugs. So the turnover must have been quite high of people coming in from like Poland or the Czech Republic, apparently, unsuspecting and renting the room and then leaving after 6 months with red spots, and then another unsuspecting Polish or Czech person turns up.
Wait, there was one little room in the apartment that no one lived in, but then one British student, one English student moved in. This was after the hospital stuff. And it was the first time, I guess he wanted to save money, so he moved in that little room. It was much cheaper, you can imagine. It almost looked like a storage. I think it was a storage room or something, right?
A cupboard or something.
Yeah. Like a storage, like it's a really little room, but there enough space for a bed. Mm-hmm. And he got bitten pretty badly on his face, pretty badly.
Oh God!
And by that time, we all knew what it was, so we told him. But he kept getting bitten. So the thing is, like, if you don't have money, once you pay the deposit, you pay the rent. If you just leave, you lose all this. Right? You lose all this money. So it's not that easy for people to just leave immediately once you commit to something like that. You know what I mean? So.
And the rent for a tiny little bug-infested cupboard in London is probably about £2,000 a month, right?
So one thing I would say, like, if you're not sure if you have bed bugs, the way you can know is that once they bite you, you need to look at the marks, at the red marks you have on your body, because they bite in a line. So as they walk over your body, they don't swerve. They just go one way. They sort of like go in one line, so they bite here, then they carry on, bite here. It's a straight line, so you can take a ruler, and it will be a straight line. They might even use it, like maths teachers might use it for demonstration of some geometry. Well, yeah.
If we can't get rid of them, we might as well use them for something. And just use them in education to help us teach maths. Maybe that's the solution to the bedbug crisis. Just move them into the classroom.
And you could teach maths and biology at the same time. It's you kill two birds with one stone. It's a, what do you call it? A CLIL, right? CLIL.
What? A CLIL?
There's the method, right? Where you teach something through another subject. No, isn't it called CLIL? Like content learning
Content and language integrated learning.
Yeah.
CLIL.
Yeah.
This has become the umbrella term describing both learning another subject such as physics or geography through the medium of a foreign language, and learning a foreign language by studying a content-based subject. So you learn physics in English, or you learn English by studying physics. You know. Okay. Yeah. So you could use bedbugs in CLIL by learning maths and biology at the same time. Look, this is a straight line because the bedbug doesn't want to deviate from its course. Why? Because it wants to drink your blood. Because that's how it survives. Yeah, that would be possibly. Yeah, why not? Why not put them to good use instead of just complaining about them all the time? All right. Wow. What a horrible story, Zdenek.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting. Yeah. Luckily, I don't have a bedbug story to share. And I hope that I never do.
Yet.
Yeah, despite the things that people are saying about Paris, in reality, my experience is haven't seen them, and I don't know anyone who has. So I hope that we will just sort of like survive without any kind of encounter with bedbugs at all. Yeah. Hello, this is me interrupting this episode. I hope you're doing okay and you're not like too freaked out by this talk of insects. I'm interrupting this episode because I want to give Zdenek a chance to just tell you about his work online, so that if you want to like follow his stuff and learn English with him, then you can. Okay, so this is Zdenek from the future, because we're recording this after the episode that you're listening to right now. So here's Zdenek from the future, where everything is dark apparently because the sun has gone down. Zdenek, tell us about your English teaching stuff online, your podcast, your YouTube, and your Discord server.
I will. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Just a quick update. We haven't been eaten by any insect. We are fine. Everything is okay. Yeah. So
yes. No bed bugs. We're all okay.
So thank you. Basically, you can find me as Teacher Zdenek on YouTube and Instagram. And Zdenek's English podcast is still a thing, although I don't publish as often as I used to, but it's still happening. And now I also have a group for high-level English learners, which is like my signature project, let's say. And I help English learners with especially their fluency. So if you feel like you're stuck with your level, and you would like to, improve, and if you're struggling with your confidence, we have some introverts in the group, and just generally people who feel like they don't have enough speaking practice, then I think it would be a great place, because it's not just me. I host several events there, but we've got some other teachers there. There's one teacher from the UK, and some of the members are teachers themselves, and I give them an opportunity to have their own event. So when I say event, it's like basically short lessons, which happen regularly. Every day there's something, and they all have a different purpose or different sort of way of different structure or different theme. So sometimes it's just some sort of conversation, like a freestyle conversation. Other times we play some games, and as I even look into IELTS. I help people with the IELTS exam. So it's like a mixed bag, a bit of hodgepodge look. And what I will say is that we've got fantastic members there from different nationalities. So it's like a thriving community where people can really boost their English, take it to the next level. So yeah. So on my
where is that? How do people find that? Yeah.
So obviously you can message me on social media, or just go to my website, teacherzdenek.com, and you will find the information there. It's called the Achievers Chamber. And I know some people are sort of new to Discord, so I always make sure that I help the new members with that. Of course, there's a bit of learning curve, but give it like one or 2 days and you will be fine. Yeah, so I have to say, it's the kind of value you get there for the price. It's very what did you say? Achievable? No, affordable. Affordable is the word.
Yeah, and achievable as well, because it's the achiever's chamber. Okay, all right, great, Zdenek. Thanks a lot. Let's now go back to the conversation that we were having before, when it was daytime in Vietnam. Yeah, here we go. Should we go further and talk about some other insects? Oh, how's the mosquito in your room?
I don't know if it's a mosquito or a fly. That's one thing about speaking of mosquitoes. Yeah, that's one thing I notice here in Vietnam is that the mosquitoes are different from the European mosquitoes.
Oh yeah, are they not tiger mosquitoes?
I don't know.
Well, how are they different?
So they look similar, but they're just way more cunning here. The European mosquitoes, they make the buzzing sound, so you can hear them when they approach you, and they are relatively slow, and you can kill them. These ones, they are impossible to kill because they just they use some maneuver tactics to just the second you spot them, they sort of know that you're after them, and they get away from you so skillfully. It's unbelievable, and they are so fast, and they make unpredictable movement. It's just so different from the European mosquitoes. I don't know if this is evolution, like the survival of the fittest or something, how they evolved, but or it could be just a different species. I don't know, but they are just so much harder to kill and to even spot. It's just it's different. The European ones, once they start sucking the blood, they sort of like stay there until you kill them. These ones, they just go for it, and then you don't even notice it sometimes, or they just drink a bit and then leave and then come back later. It's just different, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, another Paris story, according to The Guardian and lots of other news outlets, Paris has been invaded by tiger mosquitoes recently. And this is something we had to deal with this summer. Not just Paris, but France in general has had a sort of wave of tiger mosquitoes. These are larger mosquitoes that normally are in different parts of the world, and they carry more dangerous diseases, including things like dengue fever and even Zika.
So
Zika virus.
How big are they, Luke?
Oh, it's difficult to say, really. They can be up about a centimetre, maybe just between half a centimetre and a centimetre in length, I think. And they've got like black and white. They appear to have black and white stripes on them. Right? Have you ever seen one like this? They're kind of like black and white markings.
Like your T-shirt.
Like my T-shirt today. I'm dressed as a tiger mosquito today. Audio listeners, you can't see this, but I'm wearing a stripy T-shirt. They're nasty little ones. Maybe these are the ones you're talking about. They're bigger. They seem to be more ruthless. They are faster, and they seem to be more difficult to catch. And they just zoom in, land, bite, and leave. You don't really get a chance to stop them. And so mosquitoes, God, just can't stand them. I mean, I talked about this on the podcast recently with my wife, just talking about how at night in the summertime, we sleep with the window open, and what will happen is that we'll just be lying there peacefully trying to sleep, and suddenly you hear zzz in your ear, like that, and then we both jump out of bed, switch the light on, and then we try to hunt the mosquito. So the hunter becomes the hunted kind of situation. And, I don't know how they do it, but they just disappear like that. They're gone, just completely disappear. Sometimes. So it's like sometimes that you get a very stupid one that will be buzzing around your head, and then you swipe away at it in the dark, and then you switch the light on, and it's just there on the wall right above your head, and you can get it. But others, they just seem to just disappear into the shadows. I don't know where they go. And you spend ages, really sleepy, looking around trying to catch them. And, if you find it, then there's that dramatic moment. Oh, there it is. And then you got to keep your eye on it and then try and get a book to smash it with. And if it's in a difficult position, you've got to sort of throw the book at the ceiling or something. And a lot of the time you miss. And if you don't miss, you leave a big red splat on the wall, especially if it's just drunk your blood. But then a lot of the time you will miss, and then they've gone, and then they terrorize you for the rest of the night, and then you're scratching the next day. But so I bought one of those electronic tennis racket insect killing things.
I heard you mention it in one of the episodes, right?
Yeah. Have you considered? Have you seen these things? Do you know about them?
Yeah, the Vietnamese people they do sell it here, of course, but I haven't had enough mosquitoes to be like, to really feel like I'm in need of getting one of those things yet. So. Yeah.
I really, really recommend it. They're amazing. It's a life changer. It's like one of the best purchases I've ever made. It's just some cheap plastic kind of crap thing that didn't cost very much. Just bought it on the internet. You charge it, via USB, micro USB or whatever, and then it's ready to go. And you just, whenever you hear that annoying noise, when you hear it, you just reach for the tennis racket, which I keep by the side of my bed. It's like if you live in a really rough part of New York or something, you might sleep with a baseball bat next to your bed, right? Just in case of intruders. Well, I sleep with this electronic tennis racket next to my bed. You switch it on like a lightsaber, and it's ready, and you press the button to make the electric. I don't know how to describe it. The sort of net, the electric net gets activated when you press the button, and you just literally swipe at the mosquito like you're hitting a tennis ball, and then crack, a big spark, and the mosquito just gets instantly eliminated. And if it's on the wall, you just gently hold the racket over it,
and it will kill itself.
It'll fly away. It'll try and fly away, and then crack. It's gone. And it's tremendously satisfying. And sometimes the mosquito is left in the net, and you can give it another blast if you want to. If you really feel like you're really angry with it because it's bitten you loads of times and you just hate mosquitoes, you can zap it again before you tap it off into the bin or out of the window or something. So yeah, that's a complete game changer. I definitely recommend getting one of those things. Yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad about killing mosquitoes. I think that's fine. I mean, I'm not about, I love animals. I don't want any animal cruelty or anything like that. But in the case of little insects, I'm kind of make an exception.
Well, it's not like you're tearing off their wings or legs or something. There are people like who would do that as well. You just simply want to kill them because you want to make sure you survive.
I want to kill them because I hate them with every cell in my body, and also because, I mean, I'm not like a Buddhist, yeah. or whatever, or even a psychopath who would enjoy pulling the legs off one of them. I just want to make it stop and go away, and there's plenty more where that came from. Zdenek, do I need to justify killing a mosquito in my bedroom at night? I don't think so. But someone listening to this will probably think so. You never know.
So you basically kill them by electrocuting them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like a Sith Lord from Star Wars. Just use electricity. Yeah, I think it's probably the most humane way to kill one, because it seems to be a completely instant death. Rather than like making it land on a piece of sticky paper and then it's stuck there and it just starves to death
for a few days. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing's like suffering a lot before it finally, perishes.
This is fast, right?
Yeah. This is just instant. Bang, gone, done, back to sleep.
Although we don't know how mosquitoes perceive time, so we don't know. Maybe it's slow for them. Who knows?
Oh God, yeah. Maybe that is the thing, isn't it? That very tiny creatures apparently perceive time much more slowly than us, which is why it's very hard to kill a fly that's landed on your table. You try and smack it with your hand and it always manages to escape at the last second because for them, we're kind of like huge giants going. And then the fly's like, what's this? Oh, a hand is coming down very slowly. It's all right. Just keep eating some crap on the table. Okay, fly out of the way at the last minute. Because it's like the way elephants and whales for us are like really slow. I wonder if for elephants, humans are like walking around really fast like little insects, like going around the place. Maybe. Who knows? Yeah, so maybe mosquitoes perceive time much more slowly than us, and so for who knows? For what for us it's just zap, gone. For them, it might be like being electrocuted for like 10 minutes, and then finally exploding at the end. It might be the most dramatic Star Wars Episode 3 kind of death you can imagine. I hope not. I really hope not. Have you encountered any other like creepy crawlies in any part of the world, either in London, Czech Republic, or maybe in Vietnam? Any other little things that you've noticed?
Yeah, so let's talk about the Czech Republic then. Yeah.
Okay.
So during the COVID time, as most people, I felt a little bit lonely, because obviously social isolation, and I started working online a lot, and I started looking for my own students. This was after I came back from England, and I was probably just a bit lonely. So, and my neighbor had gone on a mission. He's a soldier, and he had gone on a mission into one of the countries of the Balkans. For several months, and he left his cat in the house, because cats they're pretty good hunters. They can take care of themselves, and we're talking it's a village, not in an apartment or anything. It's a village, so it lives outside, so there are a lot of mice around and stuff. And since I was so lonely and this cat was so friendly, I would open my window every now and then. And even when I was teaching, I would show the cat would jump in through the window into my room, and the cat would jump in. I would show it to my students. I would pet it all the time. I let it sleep in my room. Now you're thinking, your listeners are thinking, what is that, cat? Cats are not an insect. Cats are not insects. What are you talking about? Well, cats are not insects. You're right, but fleas are.
Fleas.
Yeah, fleas.
What are fleas?
Fleas are those. I hope they're insects, by the way, because recently I did mention a tick on my podcast, and I said it's an insect, and there was someone who studies biology, and they threw it into my face. Not the tick. Not the tick. They just said, "Oh, Zdenek, by the way, a tick is not an insect." So it's
an arachnid.
Yeah, because it has more legs. It has 8 legs, like the spiders. But I hope fleas are insects. Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Okay,
they
cool.
Are.
So we can talk about them. So basically, this cat had fleas, which I bet my neighbor would have taken care of had he been there, but he wasn't. So the cat was just sort of strolling around, catching all sorts of things. And I didn't really notice it until I did, right? So it wasn't my first time. When I was very little, I used to encounter some fleas, but they were the dog fleas. These ones were cat fleas. They're different species. They're smaller.
Oh, yes.
They're smaller and hard to see. And basically, I thought when one of them bit me, and I even saw it, I killed it. I managed to kill it, and I didn't pay much attention to it. I was like, oh, it's just one flea, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like in my old apartment in the Czech Republic, I have got a carpet on the floor. So basically, a few days later, I realized that there were more there. And it became apparent soon that I had a problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So it's not like you could ever see 2 at the same time or more at the same time, but it was just the frequency of the encounters. So it's just way too high for my liking, so to speak.
You just sort of noticed them, did you? You kind of noticed one on the carpet, or did they bite you?
They bit me because the thing is, the carpet is. I guess I'm not very good at selecting a carpet. 10 years before that, I bought that carpet, and it just. I thought it would be a great idea to buy something that is a bit darker, and some like when you sort of have dust, or let's say you spill something, you wouldn't see it so well, But now I know I should have bought something white so that I could kill the fleas more easily.
Right, because they could just hide in this dark carpet. Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
The issue is that I also have a bed there because it's like one big room, like a studio. And I sleep there as well. So this is the worst. So they did bite me, when I was sort of teaching, when I was at my computer working. So, I would have like bare feet, right? Because it was summer. And so they did bite me occasionally. Sometimes I would kill them. Sometimes they would just jump. They are just so skillful. They just jump so high, and it's incredible.
So you're trying to get one, and ping, it's just gone. Because it's jumped 100 times its body height.
Exactly. Maybe even more. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that sort of bothered me was that at night, I would get a bit paranoid, So sometimes I would find one in my bed, and that's a bit annoying because you're trying to fall asleep, but you really can't, and then your whole body starts itching, and it's like the paranoia kicks in, because even if they're not there. You still think they are there. Like your mind is just going a bit weird, and and you start scratching everywhere, and it's itchy, and occasionally you would find one there, but most of the time you wouldn't. But still, of course I tried to sort it out somehow. So. A few days later, I decided to visit one of my private students in Italy. So it was like kind of a holiday, let's say, because she invited me over to her place. And so I thought I would use this as an opportunity to buy myself a proper killing device, like a spray. Just a spray. I tried to hoover them out, by the way, that didn't work very well.
They just held on. They just held onto the carpet. Like, quick, guys, the Hoover's coming. Here we go. Hold on.
I mean, if you turn it on, it just makes a really loud sound. I don't know if they are able to recognize the sound, but like, I imagine maybe the vibration or something. Or
wind. Wind. Maybe if they're used to sort of clinging to the hair of an animal, and in wind, or if the animal's like shaking its fur to try and get rid of them, maybe they've just developed the ability to cling on. With their little feet, they just hold on tight. Same thing with a carpet with a Hoover sucking air through. They might just be able to hold on. They might have little hooked feet that just hook in. Who knows?
Yeah. So I went to Italy, and before I did, I sprayed the whole thing like inside out, like everywhere, like so because I didn't want it, because it's a studio, so it's also my kitchen, and it's also a place where I eat. So I didn't want to do it while I was there. So that's why I put it off till I went to Italy, because I knew I wouldn't be there for 14 days. And also, it was quite cold at the time. It was cold in the Czech Republic because I think the autumn started. And it was actually last year. It was autumn last year when this happened, before I came here. And so I came back from Italy sort of looking forward to a nice environment without fleas. It was very cold, so I was like, oh, if the spray hadn't killed them, then the cold must have. But to my surprise, a few days later, I was bitten by another one, and the paranoia started again. I was already like falling asleep easily and just worryless nights. But now it started all again until at some point it stopped. I believe it was like 2 days before I came. 2 months, 3 months before I came to Vietnam. So I hope when I do come back eventually one day, I hope they're still not there.
Either that or you'll come back and they'll all be there eating their lunch like, what? Oh, God, he's back. Quick, hide in the carpet again.
Multiplied. Like.
They'll be there playing your PlayStation, just having a fantastic time, having parties every weekend.
Yeah.
And then, oh, God, he's back. All right, well, anyway, lunchtime, guys. Okay, well, anyway, I'm sure that you've got rid of them now.
I think so, yeah. There's no food for them there, so...
No. Let's take this in an even more disgusting direction and talk about cockroaches. Oh, by the way, actually, before we do that, I wanted to give some fascinating facts about fleas. Hundreds of years ago, fleas were responsible for the Black Death, of course. Right? The plague, the Black Death, the plague. They actually were the transmitters of the plague. Bringing it all around bringing it all over Europe with rats, because it was the fleas on the rats that actually spread the disease. So very bad news indeed. I don't mean to suggest that you were in danger of catching the plague, because I think that's probably not such a big issue these days, thankfully. What else? And fleas, they can jump incredibly high. Apparently they can jump between 40 and 100 times their body height. So if a flea was the size of a human, it would be able to jump over St. Paul's Cathedral, which is pretty impressive. I mean, I know that the pole vault in the Olympic Games is pretty cool, but imagine just being able to jump right out of the stadium. That's kind of the sort of thing that fleas can do. And also, fleas have been around for hundreds of millions of years, apparently, and even were around at the time of the dinosaurs. We know this from compression fossils, and these fossils suggest that fleas also pestered the dinosaurs, but they weren't fleas as we know them today, of course, because this is like 165 million years ago. These were giant fleas, dinosaur-size, well, not dinosaur-size fleas, but big enough to prey on dinosaurs, about an inch long. That's about 3 centimeters long. Yes, with very impressive mouth parts that were capable of piercing dinosaur skin. So yeah, be afraid. But thank God we don't have those fleas around anymore, because that would be a nightmare, wouldn't it? But anyway, I was going to say cockroaches then. Have you ever, cockroaches are something that annoy people a lot. They're a real problem, a big pest that many people have to deal with. Have you ever had any encounters with cockroaches?
So if I tell you that it was my first time here in Southeast Asia, where they are very common, by the way, Southeast Asia, or anyway, it's about the zone, right? They prefer warmer weather, I think. So I've never seen them in the Czech Republic or in England. So here in Vietnam, they are here, right? So everybody knows this. They're quite common here. So it was my first time here. One thing I will say is that it's always the thing that you're not used to that you sort of dread, right? So I didn't exactly like my first encounters. It's sort of scary because they are so huge, they're so massive. And then you hear all these stories. Yeah, you hear all these stories, or some people living here that used to have them in their apartments. While the locals, they sort of look at you as if is there something wrong with you, because they have been living with them for ages and they're normal. It's like natural for them to be here. You know what I mean? But not for me. Yeah. Not for me, because where I come from, I've never seen them. So I'm like, ooh, I'm so squeamish, right? And after experiencing bed bugs and fleas as well, I would say I'm pretty fragile after those experiences. Yeah, but
you've been terrorized. You've been terrorized by insects all throughout your life, it seems.
Exactly.
Exactly. You're so unlucky with the insects. So bed bugs, fleas, and what next? Cockroaches.
There's a pattern. Well, I've been lucky. I found 2 in my room, but they don't. I know they are not here. I know they don't live here. It's just they sort of wandered in by accident. Because I don't really leave any leftover food, because that's what some people do, and then that's why they come, because they sort of, I don't know if they can smell the food or how they do it, but leftover food attracts cockroaches. Yeah, so I think I've been behaving pretty well, and that's why so far I haven't really seen them much in my own apartment, but I've seen plenty of them around in the streets, and I also found out that they are able to fly, which I didn't know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they can fly as well. And I would say that one thing actually that sort of reassures me is that, first of all, I am not someone they want to eat. They don't eat humans, right? They bite humans.
Yeah.
They don't bite humans. They don't want to suck your blood, which is it's an important piece of information. And secondly, they are visible to the naked eye, unlike the fleas, for example. Yeah, so you know straight away. Also, sometimes they're quite audible as well.
Oh, really? What?
Well, because they're quite
sound?
large. So imagine if they are walking on something that produces some sort of sound. I don't know, a piece of paper or whatever, so that you would hear it, like, or creaky floor or something.
You can hear them scuttling around then, yeah.
I think you can a little bit, yeah. So I think, well, the thing is, like, you do get used to everything, yeah. So I can already see that I'm sort of okay with them more than I was when I came, because that's what I was quite terrified, because I was moving around a lot. I didn't want to get into one of those places where you would find them. But I would say, like, even if I did get to meet some of them, then I think I would be more or less okay. The thing is, like, one thing that kind of sucks is that they are really kind of fearless. They just don't care. They just they do get scared once you sort of start stomping around them, or when they sort of notice that you're approaching them. They do run away or fly away, mostly run away, but they are not afraid to come near you. Like, sort of when you're sleeping, for example, they might come near your bed or something. It's kind of annoying, right? But at least they don't want to eat you.
Yeah. So what is the thing about cockroaches? What do people hate about them so much? I was thinking about this. Apparently it's mainly that as you say, they don't sting, they don't bite, but they're just dirty. They can carry bacteria, apparently, and they might climb over surfaces at home, and they're generally a sign that things aren't very clean, and they might just, transmit bacteria. That's really it. But yeah, they just don't look very appealing as well. It's just a horrible sight. If you go into like some kitchen in some place, not at home, but you just go somewhere and you just walk into a room and just like you enter the room, switch the light on, and ping, you see them on the walls, and zip, they disappear under the unit, the kitchen unit or something. It's just a horrible thing to see. I mean, I had a cockroach experience in Vietnam as well. I mean, it's obviously not just Vietnam. They could be anywhere.
They're everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, but I was on a train going down the coast, not far from where you're living at the moment, and I was on one of those sort of like overnight trains that take a long time, and it was a really cool train ride because you get to see the beautiful scenery out of the windows, and it's just a really cool experience. And I had a kind of a sleeper carriage. I hadn't paid a lot of money for it. It was like standard class sleeper carriage, and I lay down on the sort of the bed, the chair, the seat that converted into a bed. I lay down on it to have my sleep, and stretched my legs out. I was just dropping off to sleep, and out of the corner I sort of like looked up. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw something moving across the wall next to my foot, and I had a good look, and it was just a cockroach just walking across the wall. And I just kind of like, just like pulled my legs up to my chest, like pulled my knees up to my chest, and just sort of like lay there thinking, oh God, oh, I didn't realize there were cockroaches on this train.
Yeah.
That's not very nice. And it just, wasn't a very pleasing thing to find out that, oh, okay, I'm going to spend the night with a few cockroaches then. That's not very nice. And they've got these antennae, and these kind of like little antennae that stick out of their heads and wave around.
Wave around quite visibly as well. It's like very...
you get the impression that when you see them, you get the impression there's a certain level of intelligence there.
Exactly.
And that's kind of maybe the creepy thing. It's not just the way that they look and the kind of shiny skin and the creepy antenna, but you get the impression that there's an intelligence. It's almost like it looks up at you and sort of like, all right, and as you say, they're not really that bothered. They're just like, all right, yeah.
There's I would say they're quite cocky. They're quite like confident and apparently
cocky. That's the good cocky cockroaches.
Exactly. And they're just, as you say, they seem very intelligent. I also heard they're quite gregarious as well. Like sort of they look after each other and sociable, very sociable, and also a rumor has it that they are very durable and resilient, and I heard that they might even be able to survive radiation and stuff. So after nuclear disaster, everything would die, everyone would die except cockroaches. They would still be there.
And Keith Richards. So, some fun facts about cockroaches. Apparently, a cockroach can live for a week without its head.
Yeah.
Right? So, if it loses its head, if you manage to, if you go for it with a knife and you chop its head off, it'll still run around and carry on for a week. Like, what? That's unbelievable.
Not even zombies do that, right?
Exactly. Even zombies, you just stop them by taking their head off, but no, not with cockroaches. Cockroaches were around a bit like fleas. They were around at the time of the dinosaurs as well. So they've been around before. They were around before us, and they will probably be around after we're gone as well, after we've wiped ourselves out.
I thought you mean you and me for a second. No, you mean the human race.
I'm sure that they'll be around after you and me have gone, but the human race in general, I think the cockroaches are going to survive the human race, and they were here before, they will probably be here after us. And so when you see a cockroach and it looks up at you, that cockroach is going, hello, you're new round here, aren't you, kind of thing.
Yeah,
the last one in is the first one out is probably how it goes for them. They can hold their breath for 40 minutes. A cockroach can hold its breath for 40 minutes.
Why would they even do that? Any idea?
Well, if you get a cockroach and you chuck it into a bucket full of water and put the lid on, it can survive under the water for half an hour.
So better leave it there for at least an hour just to make sure that they are really dead.
If you're trying to drown a cockroach, you got to leave it under the water for at least an hour. Exactly.
That doesn't sound like a humane way to kill a cockroach.
Well, as you said, they can be hard to get. I've heard stories of people stamping on them, lifting up their foot. The cockroach appears to be flat, and then when then they just kind of like pop back up again and run away.
Yeah, because they feign death. That's what they do, bastards.
They pretend to be dead and then they just run off. Yeah. Oh my God. They can live without food for a month. These guys are tough. They're super tough.
I sort of respect them for that,
Yeah, you've got to sort of almost respect the cockroaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's again another reason why they're quite scary, because they deserve your respect. Not like mosquitoes. I have no respect for mosquitoes, but I have a slight level of respect for cockroaches. But I wouldn't want to live with them, though.
No.
I can say that for sure. Final things, maybe, because we could go on and on, but we probably shouldn't. Eating insects. Would you? Could you? Have you? What do you think about eating insects?
So one thing I'll say, I'm quite a picky guy when it comes to food in general. It wouldn't be the first thing on my agenda, let's say. It's not on my bucket list, let's put it that way. However, in 2019, when I was living and working in the UK, one of my students at the language school I worked for, she was from Mexico, I believe, or was she from Chile? Either from Mexico or one of the South American countries. And once she went on holiday back home, and then she came back and brought like a big sack of crickets.
Crickets,
yeah. They were like dry crickets, right? Not live crickets.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
So these are crickets, the insects, the ones that will kind of like live in grass, and they've got these very long back legs and they jump around.
Yeah, we're not talking about the sport that your dad loves so much. No.
And I love too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, not the sport. No, these are the insects. Yes.
And she basically challenged me. She challenged me to eat one. And I have to say it wasn't as bad. Like I wasn't nauseous or anything. I just ate it, and it seemed a bit tasteless, but that's all right. Like I ate it, and I felt so smug after doing that. It's like sense of relief and even like almost victory of managing to eat a cricket. But let's say it's not something I need to do. Like a lot of people, you have got these different TV shows where they go out into the wild and they eat all sorts of things just to prove the point, just to sort of show what they can do and make everyone else look at them in disgust, right? Watch the shows in disgust. So I'm not one of those people. Definitely not. So I'm not gonna like end this show and have a cockroach for a snack. No thanks.
Yeah. Go and have a cricket sandwich. Although in Vietnam, I mean, it's not unheard of to eat certain insects or similar things. I understand, right? I mean, I remember, where was I? Was I in Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, somewhere? I'm not sure where I was now, but on one of those long bus journeys from one city to another through the countryside, and the bus stopped, and there were some girls by the side of the road, and they had on a stick. They had like some big spiders on a stick that they had cooked and that they were going to sell. So, I mean, I didn't go for it, but apparently, a barbecued spider on a stick is quite a delicacy in some parts of the world. But not for me. I passed on that particular option that time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea either, but yeah, some people may do it. But speaking of the food, it's really amazing here in Vietnam. I have to say, look, I lost 5 kilos. After 1 month of living here, I lost 5 kilos. So immediately, like it's just different. It's different. There's a lot of vegetable here, and what else? It's just a lot of noodles, rice. It's good. I like it. Yeah.
No, delicious food over there, and forgetting about the insect stuff. Although apparently, I mean, I said forget about the insects, and now I continue talking about it. Apparently, insects are they're a very healthy thing to eat. So they're full of protein. It's a very good form of protein. There's they're very lean. They don't have a lot of fat, and actually, that can be a very healthy thing. And also, it's just weird. We have a stigma. There's a stigma attached to eating insects. But if you think about eating crustaceans like shrimps, prawns, lobsters, and crabs. I mean, they're crustaceans. They are actually related to insects. They are arthropods, I believe. This is correct, isn't it? Arthropods. Arthropods are invertebrate animals with an exoskeleton made of chitin. But what are included in this category? Arthropods include things like shrimps and bees and centipedes. So you get arthropod and spiders and insects, I understand.
So everyone is there then.
So they're all part of this big family, this arthropod family. And you got the arthropods that live on the land, and people sort of like, ooh, no, I wouldn't eat one of them. But then arthropods in the sea, yes, please, yum, yum, yum. So I don't know quite what the, why is it that if they're in the water, it's fair game and everyone loves to eat them. But if they're on the land, it's just like the most disgusting thing in the world. So, it's weird that we have this kind of this almost instinctive sense of disgust over the idea of eating insects, or some of us do anyway. Whereas we're quite happy to eat ones that live in the water. So I don't really get it. But yeah, they can be very tasty. I've eaten grasshopper as well in Japan. Similar story. I was in a bar. A Japanese friend came in with a lunchbox full of these little grasshoppers that had been cooked in soy sauce and sugar, I think. And obviously I had a couple, and it was like, yeah, these are fine, these are great, but no thanks, I don't want any more. But I can now say that I've eaten them, and they tasted pretty good. It's again similar sort of consistency to eating prawn, similar kind of meat, but there's just something. It makes your skin crawl, like seeing them all in a big box. It's just something about it, just like it just makes your skin crawl
and jump after eating a grasshopper as well. You might make your skin jump too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But they're fine. I mean, they're fine, and they might be the thing that sort of saves the world in a way.
One day,
because farming insects, it can be a very good form of protein, and that using insect protein instead of animal protein in our diets can be great for many reasons, including the fact that animals, if farming livestock accounts for apparently huge amounts of greenhouse gases that get produced every day, and livestock apparently are even worse for the environment than industry. I've read. I don't know if that's true, but because of all the methane that they produce, farting all day long, they're just basically going around eating all the crops and just farting, and then we eat them. But it's much more efficient, good for the environment, and even healthy apparently to eat insect protein. But I don't know if anyone's in a rush to go and eat some cricket burgers or something. Yeah. Including you, apparently.
Not really.
Yeah.
But you do seem to have a bee in your bonnet about insects, eating insects.
You did another one to have a bee in your bonnet about it.
I've realised we haven't mentioned any for a long time. So.
Yeah, we forgot about the idioms, didn't we? But yes, to have a bee in your bonnet, meaning to have something that's constantly in your mind, to be you're always going on about a certain thing. It's like you're obsessed with it. Maybe you're frustrated by it, or maybe you're just obsessed with it, so just going on about it all the time. So eating insects, he's got a real bee in his bonnet about it. A bonnet is like a sort of like a thing you would a woman would wear on her head back in the olden days, maybe in the sort of 18th century or something, or 19th century. A woman might wear a bonnet on her head, and if you had a bee in your bonnet, it would be buzzing around inside and bothering her a lot. So it's kind of like having an insect in your head, sort of thing, where it's just like bzzz, this idea is constantly buzzing around to have a bee in your bonnet. And if you can't, let's do a quick idioms quiz here at the end. If you can't stop moving, Zdenek, you can't stop moving, jumping up and down like someone who's hyperactive, always getting up, moving around, can't sit still. He's got in his
ants in his pants. Ants in his pants.
Yes, ants in your pants. Fidgety, restless, can't sit still. You've got ants in your pants. What about someone who's busy, always going around doing things, moving around all the time, working a lot?
Yeah, a busy bee.
Yes, busy as a bee. Exactly. Someone who's always busy and very productive. What about something that is brilliant, excellent, fantastic, outstanding? It really is the
bee's knees.
The bee's knees, exactly, yeah. So, something or someone you think is fantastic could be the bee's knees.
A lot of bee idioms, right?
A lot of bee idioms.
Also, you can make a beeline for something, right?
Yeah, if you just go straight for it. For example, I don't know what I don't know. Just random example. You go to the park and you're looking for a seat, which is what happens in Paris. Because you can't sit on the grass for some reason. I don't know why. You're not allowed to sit on the grass.
Honestly, I don't think you can sit at all now these days in Paris. So.
Yeah, that's right. I will never sit down ever again. Oh, God. But luckily, the seats in the parks in Paris are made of metal. They have these kind of like metal chairs in the parks. They're pretty good. But normally there aren't enough seats to go around. So if you see a seat that's free, you make a beeline for it. You just go straight for it and hopefully get there before someone else does, so you can sit down. There's one more, which is the expression "like a moth to a flame."
I don't know that one. What does it mean, Luke?
You know, a moth is like a butterfly that flies around at night. And the thing is that moths are always, they always fly towards lights, don't they? If you put your light on at night, the moths come. Because they use the moon to navigate. So if you switch on a light bulb, it really messes with a moth's day. Because they're like, I was going to the supermarket and bam, I'm whacking my head against a wall now. What's going on? Oh, this isn't the moon? They get easily confused. So anyway, the idea is that a light or a flame, like a candle, will attract moths. So if something is attracted to something else, you can say it's like a moth to a flame. If something is drawn to something or attracted to it, even if there's danger involved, you could say that they're like a moth to a flame. Can't think of any examples at this moment.
Well, for example, I've got some ants in my apartment, and they every time I leave any sort of trace of sugar on my table, they always come like an army. Like they're so disciplined, so they know exactly what to do, and they just come and get the sugar. They're so good. The local ants are so small and just so skillful at getting what they need.
Oh God, yeah, ants are incredible, aren't they? The way that they work together.
Yeah, so we could use it here, right? So what was it? Like a moth
to a flame.
Like a moth to a flame. So they're attracted to that sugar like a moth to a flame. You could say that, right?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I'm just trying to find some other examples here, which I will find in a second. You know what? I'm going to use Youglish, which is always a good website for looking things up. I'm just going to write moth to a flame into Youglish and we'll see what I get. Mm-hmm. Abusive people. So this is from a video called 7 Reasons Why You Attract Toxic People.
Yeah.
Right? And it says, abusive people flock to generosity like a moth to a flame. So if you're being super generous with people, then watch out, because you might attract sort of an abusive person to you who will feed off your generosity. Because abusive people flock to generosity like a moth to a flame. It's
actually quite a nice idiom that you can use in all sorts of ways. Yeah, I can see now.
Let's have another one. This is some American girl saying, I'm still drawn to the chase like a moth to a flame. I don't know what chase she's referring to, but maybe some competition that she likes to be involved in. And she still wants to take part, so she's drawn to this chase like a moth to a flame. One more. He says there's some guy who I think likes to design tables or something. And I think he's probably saying, like, I just have to make tables. If I see some materials, it's just like a moth to a flame. I have to make a table.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. Some examples of like a moth to a flame. Right, Zdenek, it's all dark now for you on the video. You're surrounded by darkness.
Yeah, it is getting dark here. It is 5:30.
Sun's going down, I guess, for you. All right, well, it's lunchtime for me. Let's leave in the thoughts of insects and creepy crawlies. Let's just leave that all behind us now. We're fine. You didn't get bitten by a mosquito. No bed bugs as far as I'm aware. I think everything's going to be okay. Humans are still the number one apex predator for the time being. So we're doing all right. And thanks for being back on the podcast to talk about your creepy experiences, Zdenek.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Luke.
You're welcome indeed. Right, have a lovely evening.
Or if anyone is going to bed now, so don't let the bed bugs bite as well. We should say that.
You got another one. You got another one in at the last minute. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Yeah, this is something we say to kids at bedtime. Although I try not to say this one to my daughter. I often say, good night, darling, sleep tight. And then every now and then I'll automatically say, don't let the bed bugs bite. And she says, what are bed bugs? And this is when she's supposed to be falling asleep. What are bed bugs? I'm like, just sort of bugs that some people have in their beds. Like, do I have bed bugs in my bed? No. And then I have to say, no, it's many years ago. They're not around anymore. And then, of course, now all these stories appear in the newspapers.
She can't read yet, right? Or can she?
She's starting to, but luckily she's not really interested in newspapers. It's more just like stories about unicorns and things. Hopefully she won't hear anyone talking about bed bugs and stuff, because then that's like a whole thing you have to explain and talk about. Ah, dear.
You open a can of worms with that, right?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, no point for that one. Opening a can of worms, creating a situation that's difficult to contain, but that's worms. Worms aren't insects, so you don't get a point for that. I don't know how many points you've got. I think you've got at least 5 points for all those different insect idioms. But we must stop. It's been fun. And have a nice evening, and I'll speak to you soon, Zdenek. Thanks.
Nice one. Thanks, Luke. Take care, man.